Hey, everybody. I am here with the young legend, the man that everybody wants to know something about, Matt Brash, the most filthiest pitcher, most filthiest. That's not even a thing. Filthy, maybe the filthiest pitcher on the planet right now. How are you doing, Matt?
Doing good, Rob. Thanks for having me on.
Can you live up to that intro?
That's a big time intro. I don't know if I'm there yet for sure, but I'll try.
You know what's weird? Like, do you ever think about that? Like, growing up, your whole career arc, and now being considered like having everybody talking about you. Does that ever freak you out?
Yeah, there's been a lot of attention for sure, but I'm kind of just taking it all in, especially with just starting with my big league career and everything. I'm just kind of soaking everything in at this point and enjoying it. So I don't mind it for sure.
Oh, cool. Because I've been throwing a lot of hyperbole your way since like last year. Like I saw you pitch. Yeah, I saw you pitch in the minor leagues, and I was like, what in holy hell is this that he's doing? Like you were just demolishing hitters. When did that start? Like when did this filthiness start? Were you always that nasty?
I've always been able to spin the ball really well. Like in college, I threw a slider and curveball, and it was my best pitches for sure. But the velo was kind of there. Like in college, I was low 90s, and then I got drafted in 2019 by the Padres, and I was like 93, 94, would hit 5 every once in a while. And then COVID year, I didn't play at all, and I just worked out a ton and gained a lot of weight because I was always a really skinny kid. And then I kind of came back that spring training with the Mariners when they traded for me, and I was like throwing upper nines, and my off speed stuff got a lot better just because I was throwing harder and stuff like that. So all last year kind of took me a while for my off speed to get there. Like it was moving a lot more than it had in years past. So I was like walking a lot of guys, like spiking a lot of sliders and stuff like that. Like normally, like in college, like I was kind of like a command guy. Like I had good stuff, but I was like trying to spot up and stuff, and now I'm just trying to fill up the zone. Like I'm not too picky. I'm just kind of throwing it down the middle and letting it do its thing.
What was the big thing, do you think, that led to velocity? I know you mentioned working out a lot. Was it a combo of like what type of things did you do? Was a lot of lower half, upper half, both? Did you work with anybody? Like what's the secret behind throwing like 100 miles an hour?
For me, like I said, I was just always super tiny. So I think when I got drafted, I was like, I don't know, like 165 pounds. Like I was my same height. I was like 6', 6'1", 165 pounds. So I was just really small. And then, I worked out with a guy in Toronto. I'm Canadian, so I live like 2 hours from Toronto. So I worked out with a guy in Toronto that I'd been with in years past, and really smart guy. I basically wasn't lifting super heavy. It wasn't like maxing out on deadlift and squat and all that. It was more like he found where I was weak through like force plate testing and like mobility tests and stuff like that. And then just implemented a workout that I was really consistent with. And it was more like stability, like lower body, like mobility, like hip mobility. And then obviously there was like some like bigger exercises to gain weight and stuff like that. But it was a lot of like explosive, like twitchy, like jumping stuff too. That kind of helped me gain weight, but also be a really good athlete and remain explosive. Because that's kind of, I feel like that's why I throw hard, is just because I'm a twitchy athlete and I get down the mound really well. So we kind of just worked on stuff like that with gaining weight, and I think that was like the combination that kind of bumped up my velo like that.
Were you growing up, were you a smaller kid, bigger kid? Did you have to like work hard to get where you were even when you were younger?
I've always been super, super skinny. Just like, I don't know, I've just been like a skinny athlete kind of. Like I played basketball in the winters growing up, baseball in the summer, like played volleyball in high school. So I've been always a good athlete. So it was kind of not till I got to college is where I was like, okay, I gotta like start working out and eating better and doing stuff like this, because these guys are twice my size. It was nearing the end of college when I started to take working out seriously, and then once I got to pro ball, I was like having some shoulder issues, and I think it stemmed from my arm literally being too fast for my body. Like my arm wanted to move faster than my body could handle, so I was getting like shoulder impingement and stuff like that. So that's why I took like the COVID year to just like pound, like working out and gaining weight. And I gained like 20 pounds, got up to like 180, 185, and got my shoulder healthy. And yeah, that's kind of where it took off from there.
Yeah, I was always wondering, because sometimes I see when smaller guys, you figure out how to move efficiently, and then you finally get bigger and you grow into it, and maybe you start lifting, and then all of that clicks, and all of a sudden you get that velo jump.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel like I've always been able to move down the mountain really well. And for me, it's like, a lot of people ask me like, what do I feel on the mound, or like, why do I throw hard and stuff? And I never really have a good answer, because it's really just supernatural for me. I've never really had like a big time pitching coach or anything growing up. Like, I just did what felt natural, like getting down the mound fast, trying to throw hard. Like, there's no like mechanical thoughts in my mind at all during my delivery. There never has. I've never tweaked anything. Yeah, so I just try to be explosive down the mound. That's where my training comes in and stuff like that. But yeah, that's what I'd say.
Did any coaches try to change you? Because a lot of times when somebody looks to be successful coming up and they haven't had much instruction, somebody wants to put their stamp on you. They want to say, look what I did for this guy. Did anybody do that, or did they mostly leave you alone?
I've actually been really lucky, because I've heard a lot of stories from guys in the past that have kind of been changed when they got the pro ball, especially, and it kind of ruins their career. But I mean, in college, they just let me do my thing. Like, I came in as a freshman, got to like start on the weekend. Like, they just let me do my thing all 3 years I was there. And then Padres, I wasn't there for very long. And I threw like 5 or 6 innings with them when I was healthy. So they didn't really have an opportunity. And then when I got to the Mariners, they have not even touched anything. And they like how I don't think mechanical like a lot of guys. They like how that's never like even a thought in my mind. It kind of takes away. And yeah, no, the Mariners have been great. Like, they've just let me do my thing, but have given me information towards like my pitch shapes and my locations and all that stuff that I've never really had before. So I feel like that's been like the biggest thing kind of with the Mariners.
Y'all are like low key nasty, the Mariners staff. I mean, I've had Robbie Ray on, and he's a great dude, and I assume that he gives you some kind of, I mean, what are your interactions with him? Because he seems to be one of those guys that loves to pass down the game to others and give little hints or how to attack folks. I'm just curious, like, how does a staff work together?
I mean, first of all, Robbie's awesome, especially to, like, the younger guys, like kind of taking us under his wing and just showing us how to be a professional every day. He's the guy. But yeah, no, he's it's all of them. It's like Marco Gonzalez, like Chris Flexen, even Logan, who's only a year older than me. He's still like learning from him. And these guys are so like aggressive on the mound, especially with their fastballs. That's been the biggest thing for me is these guys just attack hitters. Like, even if they're down in the count, like 2-0, like they're gonna challenge guys with heaters, like up in the zone, like anywhere. Especially Robbie, like pretty much throws 2 pitches. And I feel like for the most part, I throw like 2 pitches. I mean, my curveball and slider are different shapes and stuff, but for the most part, that's what I do too. So I've been trying to pick his brain, and he just says to dominate 2 pitches, be really, really, really good at 2 things. That's all you really need. And yeah, he's just been great. But everybody's just so I've just kind of been watching like bullpens and stuff like that. Even if I'm not like asked them questions, it's just like seeing what they do and how they go about bullpens and game day and stuff. It's been really cool.
Yeah, Robbie is so aggressive on the bump too. He looks like he almost bullies hitters. Like, he just comes at you over and over again.
I know.
It's
I know. I feel like, yeah, like, just I watched him a little bit last year, but didn't get to see like full games and stuff. But just watching him, it's just relentless. Like, he's attacking the zone. He doesn't care like who the hitter is or what the count is. He's just going at him with his best pitches, which I feel like is such a big thing, is throwing your best pitch as much as possible. So, like, even my first start, I threw a ton of sliders and a ton of curveballs, but that's my best pitch, and that's what gives me the best results. So I'm going to throw it a lot. And I feel like I'm just learning from these guys too, that like throw your best pitch as much as possible, and good stuff's going to happen. So yeah, he's really good, obviously.
You mentioned shoulders. Like, what do you do after a start, recovery wise? Do you do?
Yeah.
Robbie mentioned he worked out to recover. Other folks use like Mark Pro. Other folks ice. What's your What's your way of recovery?
Yeah, so I'm still learning for like creating my 5-day routine because last year we were on like a 6 or 7 day, like I threw once a week kind of thing. So you had more time to recover. So it wasn't as important to do that stuff. But yeah, this year it's kind of after I throw, I do like manuals or like arm care with a trainer. Always do that. And then I don't do a lot right after the game. It's more like the next couple days is when I start hammering the recovery stuff. So I'll work out the day after, do a lower body, get a massage, and then I'm a second day bullpen guy. So I'll throw my pen, do more manuals, arm care, stuff like that with the trainer. And then as the week goes on, I'll do Mark Pro. Have you heard of BFR before?
No, what is that?
It's just like a device that wraps around your arm and it basically like measures your blood pressure and then like constricts your arm to get more blood flow and it like goes on and off. Just like a device like that, but I've been doing that quite a bit. I quite like it. Just gets blood flow into the like bicep area where I get a little tender. So do that, Normatec, little Mark Pro, kind of whatever I'm feeling that day, but I don't do anything crazy. It's just like one little recovery thing a day just to keep my arm feeling good.
So you mentioned having both a curveball and slider. I know for a while StatCast was calling everything a knuckle curve.
Yeah.
You do throw your slider more often than your knuckle curve, at least from what I can tell, or maybe I'm wrong.
It kind of depends on the game, to be honest. So my opening day started in Chicago. I threw more curveballs than I did sliders. They had it as like every pitch was a knuckle curve, but I threw, I don't know what the numbers were, but I probably threw like 4 or 5 more curveballs than I did sliders that day. But yeah, it just depends on the day. Like whatever pitch is feeling better, whatever pitch I have a better like command of and that's sharper, I'll just go to it more.
So it's less about scouting reports and more about what you feel like, what you think is your best pitch that day.
100%. I don't really do too many scouting reports for like the other team. I kind of have my A plan that I'm gonna do, and that's just attack hitters with heaters up and throw my off speed that starts middle or with 2 strikes, and with no strikes, I'm filling up the zone. That's my game plan for any hitter, and I feel like it works for any hitter. So I don't specifically target certain guys. So yeah, whatever pitch is on that day, I'll just go to it more. That's pretty much how simple it is.
Yeah, you know what's funny is so I'm friends with Michael Fisher from Codify, who does maps for all sorts of folks, and he showed me yours, and it's like literally the whole zone would be blue. So you're probably doing the right thing, which is if you're throwing breaking balls, you just have to get the ball somewhere near the plate.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of when I got to the Mariners too. That's kind of what they're telling me. Before I'd been trying to like spot up my fastball in corners and throw my slider down away every pitch and stuff. And they're just like, you don't have to do that. You just have to fill up the zone, have your catcher set up middle, and you're not going to hit middle every time. You're going to spray the ball. So I pretty much have the catcher set up middle, and I throw my stuff full effort. Like I don't take a pitch off. I don't baby anything. Like I'm throwing it as hard as I can every pitch. And yeah, I'm just trying to fill up the zone. That's where my stuff plays, is in the zone. And then with 2 strikes, I can expand a little bit, but I'm still just trying to fill it up.
So I noticed you threw a changeup even that looked like it was a wiffle ball. Like very few people have both the ability to throw glove side and arm side movement. Like a lot of folks can really spin it, but they can't have it go arm side, and vice versa. Some people are really good the other way. Pronating and they can't get the ball to go. Have you always had that run to everything?
Yeah, so I've always been able to spin the ball, like slider, curveball. Always been able to do that. Through my knuckle curve that I've thrown like my whole life, kind of thing. But the changeup was definitely been one of the harder pitches for me to gather. Like in college, I threw one that was pretty good, but it had a lot of ride on it, and it didn't have a lot of fade. So when I got to the Mariners, we kind of tweaked it a little bit just to get less ride on it because it wasn't playing very well in the zone. So I worked on it last year really hard. It kind of took me all year to get the right pitch shape and to get a feel for it. So by the end of the year in Double-A, I feel like I started to throw it more and in the zone, and it played really, really well. I didn't give up a lot of hits on it in Double-A. So yeah, I've kind of taken that into this year, and I feel like my shape's even better this year. Like I'm getting a lot of movement on it. It's just about getting in the zone for me. I'm still like with my slider and curveball, it's like I can throw it as hard as I can, and I know it's going to be in the zone. Like I have like a super good feel for it. With the changeup, it's just a little. Sometimes I'm in between, maybe not full trust in the pitch yet. But yeah, my shape's really good on. I'm really happy with the shape. It's just about getting it in the zone consistently for me.
Yeah, I thought so too. Like I mean, I knew about the breaking stuff. And I've seen the changeup, or what I thought was a changeup. I didn't have the velo numbers when I was seeing it, but to see that in the game against Chicago, you threw one that was just insane, and everybody was freaking out about that too. Like, holy cow, where do you get that changeup movement? And I think it's really special to be able to do both. So that's really awesome. Who do you take after? Like, who would you say is somebody that, number one, you grew up looking to be like, maybe, or as an influence, or today you look like, hey, you watch their starts and say, this is what I want, what I can be?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I was a Jays fan, so Roy Halladay was my guy growing up. I go over my head just like he did. That's kind of why I do it. But yeah, I mean, I watched him growing up. That was a big influence on me. And then now I feel like I don't know, I'm kind of doing my own thing now. I really like there's certain pitchers, obviously I like their mentalities. Like Scherzer, I love his mentality. This goes right after guys. That's what I try to take after. And just guys like that who are just relentless in the zone. Even like Logan and Robbie and guys like that who are just like, they're not scared of anybody. Like they're throwing their best pitch in the zone, and they don't really care what happens. They just know it's such a good pitch that good stuff's going to happen. So, I mean, I'm kind of taken after that mentality wise, but like stuff wise, I don't know. I've kind of just been doing my own thing. I throw a lot of breaking balls. That's what I did last year. I had success, so I'm going to continue to do it. But yeah, I'm just trying to be my own pitcher kind of.
Yeah, it sounds crazy, and I don't throw this out lightly, but you kind of remind me of a prime. I'm talking really prime 20 strikeout man, Kerry Wood, back in the day, where you looked at it and you're like, I don't understand how anybody ever hits this guy. It's cartoon like, it looks fake. And that's what I see your stuff playing as, or even like Jake Arrieta when he wasn't hittable, that movement that he was getting at that velo. There's a lot of that too, from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I feel like, yeah, it usually takes me a while for my stuff to get there. So like my first spring training start, stuff wasn't that good, like wasn't moving as much. And then like each start, I feel like I'm starting to get a better feel for it, and my stuff's starting to move more. And yeah, I mean, it's been a while for me to work on these pitch shapes. Like I've been able to spin the ball well, but slider is still a pretty new pitch for me. I just learned it like 2 or 3 years ago at like my last year in college. Like still developing these pitches, but the Mariners been great too for like pitch design and all that. They're amazing. Get to see like Edgertronic, get to see how the pitch comes out of your hand. Like just little stuff like that goes a long way to creating pitch shapes for sure.
So speaking about that technology wise, Edgertronic's a great. Do you also look at like things like Rapsodo, TrackMan, are you one of those guys who takes in as much information as you can? Or are you one of those guys who doesn't like to see anything? Just, I can tell when it's coming off right, and that's all I care about.
I'm a little bit of both. I like to know like my shapes for that game. Like I can obviously like tell like what if like how much it's moving, but I like to see my numbers. Like I know my numbers by now. But like I don't obsess over it or anything. Like in season, I'm not working on pitch shapes. Like I do that in the off season to try to get like more sweep or more like vertical movement or stuff like that. So in season, I don't look at it too much. I just look at it to know like I'm staying on base with it and seeing like my access numbers to see if I'm getting on the side of the ball and stuff like that. But I don't like obsess over it at all, for sure.
So pitch design wise, I mean, viewing, a normal strike zone, and you mentioned you like to throw it down the middle and let the pitches do what they do. Do you feel so you need something going arm side, you need something going down, you need something going either way on glove side as well? Do you feel like you've added as many pitches as you want? Is there anything that you like? What is the next step in your development?
I think the next step is my changeup, developing it further. I got the shape down. I need to learn how to get it in the zone consistently. I really want to get to the point where I'm throwing my changeup like I'm throwing my slider, where I'm like, I am throwing this thing as hard as I can, and I know kind of where it's going or the area of where it's going. I'm not quite there with the changeup yet. I'm close. Like some games it feels amazing, but some games I feel like I don't have it. So I think it's with the changeup, and then I don't know. I kind of joke with some of the older guys like Chris Flexen. Like I've always wanted to learn like a cutter. If there was a really good cutter, or like Marco and stuff like that. I always joke with them like, you guys got to teach me this. And like, you're fine where you are right now. You can develop a cutter when your velo drops a little bit or something like that. So right now I'm just trying to develop that changeup. I'm sure in the future I'd love to throw like a cutter or splitter or something like that.
Yeah, great. That's just what hitters want to hear. Is having another darn pitch.
Yeah, I'd love a splitter.
Is there anybody you're looking forward to facing? Like now you can face all these guys you've looked up to. Is there anybody that you're sitting there going, man, this is going to be a big moment if I get to face this guy?
I don't know. I mean, all the obvious answers are there. Like I want to face Trout. I really want to face Shohei. But like some of the Blue Jays hitters like Vladdy, I'm really excited to face that lineup. We play in Toronto in a couple months, I think. So that would be amazing if I got a start there. That'd be really cool. I'd have like, I don't know how many people would be there, but there'd be a lot of Canadian fans there. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just excited to face like full lineups in their stadium. So like Yankee Stadium, I want to face the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. I want to pitch at Fenway. I want to play in all these great parks against all these great teams and just see how my stuff plays. Like I think that's the coolest part for me is even in my first start, like just seeing how my stuff plays against those guys. Like I had really good stuff, but I didn't necessarily locate it as well as I can and I want to. And I just am so excited to see in the future, like when I'm locating my stuff, like what I can do.
I mean, that's a really good lineup you faced in Chicago too. Like, gee whiz. And for the first few innings, it was, I mean, everybody was just going, oh my God. And did you feel like, I mean, how's your endurance this point of the season? You built up?
I mean, I felt, I'm built up. I'm not built up like super high. Like, I haven't thrown like 100 pitches yet, let's say in a game. I'm probably around like 80 to 90. I would say I think I threw 81 last start. So I'm getting there. I'm really close, but I don't know. My body feels really good. My arm felt amazing in Chicago and all that. And yeah, I'm just excited to be built up so I can get deeper in the game for sure.
So help me understand this, because you seem like a really nice dude. You're Canadian. All Canadians are nice, right? They just are. But you look like, I mean, there are times where you look like a stone cold killer on the bump. And I don't know if there's a different zone you get into. How do you work mental game wise? Do you do like pregame and during the game? What do you do to get in the zone? And how do you view yourself on the zone? You mentioned loving Max Scherzer. He's a nice guy off the field too. On the bump, you don't want to be near him.
No, I mean, I'm not saying I'm like Max Scherzer on the mound. I'm not quite at that level. But I mean, I just feel really locked in when I'm on the mound. Like I had a lot of reporters and stuff ask me if I was nervous for my first start. And I was like, pregame, I get like some jitters, some butterflies going just because you got to show up to the field like 4 hours or 5 hours before you start. You don't do anything I don't, my routine's not super long. So I'm just sitting around for like 3 hours probably. So I get the jitters going there. But as soon as I start like my warm up, my pregame routine and get out on the field, like I'm pretty dialed in. Like I'm not nervous. I'm just kind of like super excited, like ready to go. And especially once I got on the mound in Chicago, like I didn't even notice the crowd. Like I didn't notice anything. It was just like me and the hitter, and I'm just full on like relentless kind of off the field. I'm kind of not goofy, but like I just like to have fun and like pretty relaxed and don't take anything too seriously. But like on the mound, I definitely lock in, like kind of flip a switch, and I'm dialed in at that point. Like I'm all in just on each pitch, throwing it with full conviction. That's always been my thing. Is I'm never babying anything. I'm never like easing on my fastball to try to hit a spot. Like I'm throwing my fastball as hard as I can, like right at the hitter. Like especially right now, like I'm throwing my fastball down the middle as hard as I can. I'm throwing my slider down the middle as hard as I can. Like there's no babying anything. So I think that's where I'm at mentally. But yeah, I'm just that relentless attitude. I feel like that's why Scherzer just kind of resonated with me. But I'm not quite at his level yet. I'm not like You know what I mean?
Oh, it's yeah. I don't know that many
Yeah,
human beings
he's a
are.
different beast. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's a different beast for sure.
Oh yeah, I believe that we met up at the All-Star game, and I go to give him a bro hug. He comes over, he's like, "Hey," look, and he just like he doesn't even like being touched. He's like,
Really,
yeah, he's just is always in a zone. The dude
he's
is.
dialed in, man.
I love it
Yeah.
though. Like he's one of my favorite
Oh
guys to
yeah,
watch of all time. I mean, you never know what you're going to
100%,
see. And with you, like
100%.
I see you dialed. Like you seem to have this confidence, not cockiness, but there are times where you throw you know, I see you with a little K strut or a little filthy pitch, and you know it. You know that that was nasty, and
Yeah,
you definitely have
yeah.
that confidence. Watching you pitch, you can tell.
Yeah, no, when I'm on the mound, I know my stuff's really good. I think I proved it last year that my stuff's really good, just how I performed in the minors and got that call up at the end of the year and stuff like that. So on the mound, I'm probably the most confident I am anywhere. So I just feel really good, and I just know if I throw my stuff in the zone and execute my pitches, like good stuff's gonna happen. So yeah, I'm all in when I'm on the mound for sure.
Did you ever have any doubt? Like, do you ever have any doubt that, you know, it's like what teachers always used to tell kids every grade, like, well, you're not going to be able to get away with that when you get to high school. You're not going to be able to away with that when you get to college. Like, did anybody say, hey, you know, this works now, but it's,
Hmm.
you know, it's not going to work for those guys at the next level because they're blah, blah, blah. They're going to, I mean, or do people just sit there and go, man, your stuff just disgusting, and there ain't anybody on earth that's going to be able to hit that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been lucky just like growing up in Canada and like going to college and stuff. Like my stuff's always been like played really well. Like I've always been one of the harder throwers, and like been able to spin the curveball really well. So growing up, my confidence was there. I think it was just instilled at a young age that I was really good and my arm was really good. And if I throw the ball in the zone, like I got outs. That's kind of just how it was. And then then at college and stuff, I would get hit around a little bit, and maybe my confidence varied a little bit. But as soon as I got to the Mariners with all their like they have like pitch grades for like how well your stuff compares to MLB, like average MLB pitchers and stuff like that. Um, that's where like my confidence kind of took off. Where the Mariners instilled like you have some of the best stuff in the big leagues. Like if you throw it in the zone, like you're a really really good pitcher. So ever since I got here with the Mariners, I've had no issue with being confident for sure.
Awesome, because I would have
Yeah,
told you that too, just without any grades or anything. Like your eyes
yeah,
can just see it. You don't see pitches move like yours do every day. Like
yeah.
I mean, it's a gift. What do you attribute that to? Like the ability to spin a baseball, is that throwing it at a young age? Is it just the way your body works? You're able to do it? Like, what do you think the key to spinning a baseball is?
I mean, yeah, I think it's came from a young age, but I mean, it's just funny. I tell a story to some people, but like growing up, I would like just every day throw like a tennis ball against like my garage door and like the roof of my house and stuff like that. I would just spin the ball. I don't know why, or I just do that for hours just because I love the game so much. And I just feel like, yeah, from I don't know, like age 8 or something, I was throwing a curveball. Like I've just always been able to get on the side of the ball really well, and I've just always loved playing catch and throwing. Like when I was younger, that's all I did was just throw the ball. So I feel like that's kind of started as a young age, and as I gotten older, my velo jumps up. It's kind of just become more natural. I'm at the point where I almost have better command with my slider than I do with my curveball. Like it's kind of just at that point.
That's awesome. Did you do a
Yeah.
lot of travel ball and stuff growing up? Or is it, I mean, did you do the, like, as a kid, did you do the whole Cooperstown thing? Did you do a whole travel ball thing? Or did you stay away from that?
Mhm. I mean, I didn't really do too much. I played on my so I'm from Kingston, Ontario, kind of like a smaller town or not a big baseball following. Like I pretty much played with the same guys, same like 12 guys growing up every year, and they were all kind of just like hockey players or guys that just played baseball in the summer for fun. So yeah, I just played on my local team growing up and just stayed with that. We'd play like team better, like bigger teams in Toronto and stuff like that. And then kind of how I got noticed was through like PBR showcases. So I went to a couple of them in Toronto and Ontario, and got noticed there from my college coach. But growing up, I didn't do too much. We didn't go to. I think I went to like 1 or 2 tournaments in the States growing up. Like didn't do too much. Just played on my local team.
That's interesting. Do you think that that's an advantage that, being from a colder weather place and maybe not playing year round, do you think that put less miles on your arm? Do you think that's a thing?
Yeah, I haven't really thought about that too much, but I think it's more the aspect where I played basketball in the winter. And obviously basketball is a really athletic sport. And I feel like that kind of just helped me with my training and correlated to success in baseball. Just playing basketball in winter and being an athlete, not obsessing over baseball. Like I love basketball just as much as baseball growing up. Like just that combo of having both sports kind of just remained me to be like a natural athlete on the mound. And yeah, I mean, I think to some extent it might have taken some miles off my arm for sure. I wasn't playing year round in Canada. It's snowing a lot. So I didn't even have like a high school season. We'd play like 3 games in a high school season and that'd be it. So I kind of just I would just play games on the weekend. We wouldn't even practice that much during the week. So yeah, it was kind of just that was my experience growing up with baseball in Canada. I was 2-sport athlete, didn't throw too much during the week, like didn't obsess over it, and just kind of had fun playing the game.
Can you dunk a basketball?
Yeah, I can. I don't know. I'm just kind of springy, like twitchy, athletic, kind of like that. I've always been just a smaller guy, but yeah, I was pretty good at basketball for sure.
And were you rooting for North Carolina in the NCAA tournament? I'm a
No,
Tar
are you? I don't.
Yeah.
I was kind of rooting for Duke just because some of the players coming through. I was a big Zion fan when he was in Duke and stuff. So I don't follow college basketball too much though.
Okay, good. I'll give you a pass if you don't follow it.
Yeah, okay, appreciate that.
So let's go over some pitch grips. I know everybody wants to know how the magic is done. And first, you have to be able to throw the ball. What have you topped out at, by the way, on your best bolt?
I had 100 last year, like once or twice, but it's kind of I'm normally like I'd say like 5 to 7. We'll hit 98, 99 occasionally. But yeah, I had 100 a couple times last year.
So before we touch on these grips, I got a DM from a friend of mine who coached against you in the minor leagues, and who literally who told me that he was a hitting coach, and he said, this guy Brash, it was like a big kid holding a magnifying glass up to ants and just destroying our hitters. Like he was throwing like 100, 101 with these ridiculous moving things, and we couldn't do anything. And he, this guy would never reach out to me with any, like he just out of the blue said, I don't know where this guy came from, but his stuff is the filthiest thing I've ever seen.
Wow.
So yeah, that was pretty awesome.
That's pretty, yeah. It's always cool when you get like recognition from other coaches, or I've had like other players like reach out to me and be like, dude, you were sick yesterday. Like, congrats. I can't wait to watch you and stuff. So it's always cool when you get like recognition from other guys that are at the same level as you or have been professional players in the past. So that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, it's really cool. So all right, let's grab a baseball and we'll go through some pitch grips.
Let's do it. So I'm basic 4-seam fastball. The thing is, I have like longer fingers, so you'll see with my like off-speed grips that my middle finger is very like, I call it like hooky. So like the end of the finger kind of ends up hooking. So like when I grip the ball really tight, I don't know if you can see, but like they kind of go in towards each other.
Yep.
So when I first got drafted in college, I would throw like my 4-seam like up here. So it was kind of funky. And then with the Mariners, I moved it back on the seams a little bit, which I think might have helped with my velo a little bit just to get it coming out of my hand a little smoother. I feel like I get more movement now. It's kind of weird. It depends on the game. Like sometimes I throw like almost 2-seamers, and sometimes I ride the ball. Like it just kind of depends on the balls in the game. But I kind of like it because it's not a consistent pitch shape, but it's the velo's there and it kind of moves in different areas.
So you don't throw you don't throw a 2-seam at all. That is a fastball. When it's going arm side, it is purely your 4-seam fastball.
Yeah, it's same grip. It's just sometimes it takes off on me and sometimes it rides. I used to cut it a little bit. I don't know. It's weird.
I think it's those freaky fingers you got though, like coming together and then the space in between them. I think Stroman does that. Stroman's got these fingers that he does the same thing where they come together at the end and there's a space in the middle and it makes his ball do a bunch of different things.
Well, yeah, and he spins the ball really, really well too. I
Yeah.
feel like you'll see on my slider and curveball, like my middle finger, I think is the reason why I get a lot of the movement on my pitch shapes, and it's why it's kind of hard for when I like try to teach guys how to throw it.
Right.
It's hard for them to replicate it just because it is kind of unique to my hand.
Yep.
But yeah, so got the forcing fastball, circle change, pretty standard. I don't know if you can see, but I
Yep.
make like a pretty big circle
Mm-hmm.
with it. And then I put all the pressure on my middle finger when I release it. So when I'm going to release my changeup, it's kind of I'm trying to throw this circle at the catcher because that was the only way for me to get side spin. I would like try to throw it normally like a fastball, and I would end up just like riding it just off my middle fingers, and it would have a decent velo separation, but I was getting way too much ride, and hitters were still making contact with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So one interesting thing, talking about riding a changeup, is
Yeah,
Giolito does that on purpose. He throws it. He has ride to his changeup. He's
yeah,
like, I kind of like it because it looks like my elevated fastball, and it throw. That's why one reason why it lives up in the
yeah.
zone with his changeup. But I like
That's
so
interesting.
yeah. So you are kind of you're pronating through it, but just thinking of the circle.
Yeah.
Yep. Got it.
Yeah, no, the biggest cue for me, I asked so many guys because there's a lot of like, I don't, do you know Devin Sweet in the Mariners org?
Yeah. Yeah. I know
Have you
who
heard
he
of that
is. Yeah.
name?
Yep.
He throws like the best changeup I've ever seen in my life. Like he's like fastball changeup reliever, just gross. So I picking his brain and stuff, and he said he kind of throws like the circle at the catcher, and that's how he gets on top of and on the side of the ball. And he obviously does it better than me, but that's been my biggest cue is try to get that, and then you kind of just get on the side, and then you get that good like UFO side spin.
Yep.
So that's kind of what I think about the changeup, and then I'll go my slider grip is right here on the horseshoe
Mm-hmm.
on the inside of it. So I kind of go on top here, and then I hook my middle finger on it like big time. Like I dig in super hard. That's my slider grip. Um,
Again with that
so as
space
you,
too,
yeah,
right?
yeah, I always have the space, and my middle finger is like riding this seam almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like a ton of pressure right here on my middle finger, and I can feel the seam all the way along, and that just helps me get on like the side of the ball super well. So when I throw my slider, I don't try to sweep it like at last second. I'm not trying to do this or anything. I just throw it exactly like my fastball. I throw as hard as I can. And I think it's just because I have so much pressure here on my finger that I get on the side of the ball really well. So when I release it, it's like I'm on the side, and it kind of just like takes off just naturally how I throw. But yeah, I'm putting like everything, like I'm throwing this thing almost as hard as like harder than my fastball. Like it's max effort, just kind of let my grip do its thing. But yeah, that's my slider grip.
And you are totally, you're not even thinking about at all,
No,
trying to manipulate the ball. You're totally relying on your grip and just throwing the piss out of the ball.
absolutely. That's how I do like my fastball, curveball, and slider, and trying to get with the changeup with that. But yeah, I am digging in super hard. Like when I get this in my glove, like I'm digging in a couple times to really hook that seam, that horseshoe seam right there, and I'm just throwing it as hard as I can. And it's gonna take a while, obviously, if you're trying to learn the pitch, but I got to the point where I'm just throwing as hard as I can, like even kind of in long toss, like backing up, try to get that good side spin, and then you just get a feel for it. And yeah, it feels great in my hand. It's like my favorite pitch to throw just because it just feels like you're gonna throw a nasty pitch. I don't know. It's hard to explain just when you do the grip, and it's so like tight in your hand and everything that it just feels like it's gonna be a really good pitch when you throw it.
I mean, it kind of is a really good pitch. So what's your highest spin rate on that?
Ooh, I don't know. I've been in like the 3100s with it
I've seen
before.
3100. Yeah.
Usually I'm around like 3000. But even when I was in college, I was spinning the ball the same. Like I was in the 3000s in college. So it's always been there. It just I feel like now it's harder. Like in college, I wasn't throwing at 86, 87. Throwing at like 81, 82. So I feel like that's where it's kind of taken off. Is I
Right.
still can spin it and get the same shape, but it's just like a lot harder. Like I feel like it's not a lot of sliders that are that hard that have that much like late break on it. I think that's why it's unique kind of thing.
Yep. Yeah. And are you
Um,
looking more horizontal movement or vertical movement on that, or combination?
I mean, it definitely gets a combination. When I'm looking at if it's on that day, it's the horizontal movement. So I mean, I've gone up to like 25, 26 inches of like horizontal on it before.
Holy
Like
crap.
but normally it's like, I don't know, like 17 to like 21 kind of area like that.
Yep.
When it's on. But it also gets quite a bit of vert. Like I feel like that's why people struggle with the curveball and the sliders. The shapes are very similar. It's
Right.
normally just like curveball has more negative vertical and is slower. It's low 80s. Sliders harder. That's the only way I can describe to people if they want to try to figure out which one is. My slider's going to be harder than the curveball. The curveball is like low 80s.
And you divide it roughly equal depending on which feels better that day. You're going to throw one more than the other.
Gotcha. Yeah, 100%. It's usually more sliders than curveballs. Usually I use my curveball early, put away with the slider. But I mean, like my opening start, my curveball was really, really good. So I just kind of stuck with it, and it was getting swing. So I just went with it. It's kind of why I like having both too, is one's not great that day. Usually the other one's great.
Yep. No, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. And then my curveball is I throw like a spike curveball, or knuckle curve as they were calling it.
Yep.
I don't go on any seams with this pitch. So I'm putting like my entire knuckle on it. So a lot of guys like spike it with their finger like that. I'm like full knuckle on. I'm full knuckle on, and then I again hook my middle finger across. So yeah, it's really.
What kind of weird crap is that, dude?
I know it's my middle finger is messed up, man. I always get people making fun of me for it.
Did you hurt that playing basketball? Did you like have some freak accent like Spider-Man and you have these weird powers or something?
I don't know why it does that so much, but yeah, I feel like that's just why I get outside the ball so well. So yeah, this is my spike curve grip. It's the same. I don't like try to roll it off like a 12-6 or like snap my elbow or do anything. I'm throwing this thing as hard as I can, just like the slider, just like the fastball. But yeah, it kind of comes out. Sometimes it's really like sweepy, like in AA last year for a couple weeks straight. It was like sweeping more than my slider, like getting more horizontal than my slider. And then right now it seems like, especially with the MLB balls, they fit a little different in my hand. Like MLB balls feel a little smaller to me. I don't know what it is. And the seams are a little like smaller. So I've been getting more like vertical movement. Like it looks more 12-6, which is fine. I don't mind having the curveball more 12-6 and the slider more sweepy. I think it plays really well. But yeah, that's
where did you learn that grip? Was that just from playing around, or did someone try to teach you that?
I did it in college again. I used to throw like a pretty basic curveball. So like I just like my whole life threw like a curveball like this. I never noticed my middle finger growing up either. I don't know what happened to it. But yeah, in freshman year in college, I think I just messed around with a spike, and I have pretty big hands. So like I tried doing it how most people do it like this. Didn't feel good to me. So I just dug in my whole finger, and I like grips to be like super tight. That's how I feel comfortable throwing the ball, because I do throw everything as hard as I can. So when a grip feels really tight in my hand, it feels good. So I grip it as hard as I can. I always tuck these fingers underneath, like my pinky and that finger underneath. But yeah, super tight, every grip. I just throw the piss out of it.
So are you like, and you're throwing that again like your fastball? You're not trying to get in front of it. You're just throwing it as hard as you can. Fastball. All the thought is fastball. No manipulation at all.
Nothing. I think that's why they're so effective and why I have such a good feel for it, is because I don't try to change anything with them. And I think that's why they tunnel well too, is because it's the same release point, same everything. I'm just throwing it super hard. Yeah, I don't manipulate. I don't try to get more sweep. I feel like I maybe could get more sweep if I try to like force the ball going that way, but I just let the grip do it.
Is tunneling a thing that you're thinking of, like when you're pitching to somebody, or off-season pitch design? Is that something that you're very careful about?
No, I don't focus on it too much. I feel like it just kind of naturally happens, just the way I throw. I'm more thinking just high fastball has been a big thing for me, keeping the ball up in the zone, just because my ball does take off and I got high velo. And then breaking balls, I mean, I'm just trying to get them in the zone early, anywhere in the zone. I'm not too picky, so I'm not trying to like tunnel certain pitches like outside corner, like spotting up, like any of that. It's just I'm just trying to fill up the zone and then getting swings and misses with 2 strikes. my only mentality, really.
Was it hard to think about, because youth baseball and going up, everybody was, you got to throw it down in the zone. Fastballs up in the zone are going to get hammered. And it turns out that's not true. But was it hard to get used to that, like throwing more up in the zone?
100%. So yeah, I was the same growing up in college. I was spawning up, down, and away. I would never threw a high fastball in my life unless I did by accident. So yeah, it wasn't until I got with the Mariners is where they showed me where my stuff plays the best, even at the major league level. And then from there, it took me a long time to like trust it. So in high A last year, I started in high A Everett. It was pretty wild because I feel like they were kind of changing my whole philosophy of pitching, just with high fastballs and throwing, having the catcher set up. I was having my catcher set up middle, like we were doing no locations. And to me, I was like, what am I doing? Like if I throw this pitch on the middle, it's gonna get smoked. So it took me pretty much up until I got to double A halfway through the year to fully trust it. And then I started seeing the results. I was like, wow, this actually, if I just pound the zone and get all my pitches somewhere in the zone, it doesn't even matter. Like it's such an easy mindset to have, is I just have to throw this down the middle as hard as I can and good stuff happens. Like it just made the game really simple for me. I feel like that's why my season kind of took off halfway through last year.
So do you feel like, I mean, does in your mind, velo makes the game easier because you don't have to be as careful, and maybe helps play in your mentality, which is attack. I'm not going to be picky. I'm not going to be, too exact. I'm going to attack the hitter with my best stuff in the zone.
Yeah, I feel like at this point in my career, yeah, I have the velo, so I don't need to spot up. I feel like maybe eventually down the road I'll get more comfortable like spotting up, but I mean right now my stuff just plays in the zone. So it's just really nice to know that I don't have to be too fine. Like 2-0, I don't have to make a perfect pitch like down and away, or the guy's gonna hit it. Like I can just go out and attack guys, and like we talked about earlier, like Robbie does it, like Logan does it, like even Marco, like Marco and Flex, they both do it, and they don't quite have the velo that the other guys do, and they're still relentless and attack guys. First pitch, fastball down the middle, here it comes, like try to hit it. So it's just stuff like that is what I'm trying to take into these next couple starts for sure.
Yeah, you're surrounded by a lot of guys who do have that same mentality, and that's probably why y'all. I mean, it seems to me like you guys have a really good staff identity that I've been, even when, I mean, I tweeted your stuff out there and I'm seeing Logan Gilbert go through and like them all and stuff. And it seems like y'all are tight and have each other's backs, but also have a similar type mentality, despite the fact you have different stuff. I mean, y'all were very different.
Yeah, no, I think that's the coolest part is everyone kind of does their own thing. Like we're all like quite different pitchers. I feel like me and Logan are kind of similar. Like we both have like big explosive stuff, like to fill up the zone. But like everyone kind of has different things that they do. Like some guys throw cutters, like some guys throw, like they both throw really hard sliders that are more like late breakers. Mine's bigger movement breaker. So it's just like everyone has different stuff, but we all have the same mentality. I think that's come just from the Mariners. It's a big part of it. Like they provide us, like our whole thing is dominate the zone. Like we have all the shirts that have like DTZ, dominate the zone. Like that's what we get instilled in us every day, kind of thing. So I feel like that's, yeah, we're on the mound and we're just attacking hitters. That's our big thing.
Logan's been impressive too. Like, I mean, that is an ace in the making as well. I mean, look at the future that you guys have. Like, that's crazy. Yeah. I mean, the city's gonna go crazy.
Yeah, we got some good guys. We have guys in the minors coming up. Like obviously George Kirby, but like we got like Levi Stout in the minors. We got Emerson Hancock. Like we got some dudes coming up, and we also have dudes here with like, yeah, Logan's been amazing. He's super fun to watch. He just attacks hitters with everything. But yeah, we got a fun staff for sure.
Emerson's from my neck of the woods over here, going to UGA, right? So
yeah,
my son's at Georgia Tech, so they all played against each other.
I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
So what do you think that, what can you do better, or is it just soaking it in and keep dialing stuff in? Because to me, I think you have it down. Like I would do exactly what you're doing, and I think you seem to you have your act together more than a lot of young pitchers do because of that confidence in your stuff. Mm-hmm. What do you think? What's the next level for you? Where do you go from here?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some stuff to build on from my last outing. So with 2 strikes, I was yanking off-speed pitches. So uh some things I tend to do is when I can get to 2 strikes really quick, like throw a nasty breaking ball, high fastball, whatever. And then last year I was doing a really good job of putting hitters away by like starting my off-speed pitches like middle of zone and have them break off. And I feel like I didn't do a great job of that. I was like yanking stuff and like non-competitive misses, and then guys got back in the count. Like the home run I gave up to Robert, I was up on him 0-2 and wasted 2 like curveballs way out of the zone. So that's what I need to be better on. It's just when I get to 2 strikes, I need to put these hitters away because I have the stuff to do it. I just need to get the ball a little closer to the zone. But I mean, in the future, I feel like I'm still a smaller guy. I'm like 180 pounds. Like I'm in good shape. Like I'm athletic and strong and stuff, but I could put on some weight. I think there's still some velo there, to be honest. Like I think I could bump up my velo a little bit. Um, but yeah, I think it's just being able to throw any pitch at any time. It's kind of my next step with the changeup, especially. But I feel like I'm getting there.
Yeah, but it's not fair if you're throwing like 102 with that stuff. Like, come on, man. And if you
I
gain
don't
two,
know.
yeah. I mean, the game doesn't
I
have
think
to
I
be
can get
fair.
there, man. I think I can get there, man.
I think you can too. Like I have little doubt, especially if you put on more weight and wear the same size pants like Robbie does. So you can be like twins out there with the tight pants club.
Yeah, that's all him. That is all him.
Yeah. Do you all give him crap? Like, I mean, he's used to it now. Like everybody gives him crap about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not giving him crap. I'm just trying to learn from the guy. But I mean, I think he's got some jabs on him from players and stuff. But I mean, hey, he goes and does his thing. I don't think anybody cares what he wears if he goes and performs like he has been.
The other thing, he's learned from the best, and you're getting the opportunity to learn like that as well. And it sounds like you want to be a sponge out there, but he was the same way. Like he learned from Max Scherzer pitching alongside him and Zach Greinke.
Yeah.
Had Randy Johnson give him a talk about like, you get one chance, don't mess this up, and just like got in his face about it. So his story is fantastic. And for him, I know he likes to pass this stuff down to younger pitchers. So you could not be on a team with a better dude to learn from than Robbie is.
Oh, 100%. And it was pretty cool at the game yesterday. He got a Cy Young award and all that. And it's like this dude is such a good pitcher that it's kind of, you just soak it in. Like, but he's also, it's not like it's like he's an older guy and I'm a younger guy, so it's like an awkward relationship, or like we don't like talk a lot. Like he just treats you like another one of the guys that you've been around and stuff. And yeah, just has normal conversations with you, which is really, really cool. Because then you just feel comfortable in asking him any question you want, just kind of learning from the guy. So yeah, he's been great.
Do you set goals for yourself? Is there a goal that you want to reach, or you just think having good stuff and pitching every day, like being aggressive, it's going to take care of itself?
I mean, I don't write down any goals, but I mean, I don't know. A goal for me is, I mean, I want to be like an all-star. I want to be a top of the line starter. That's just always been my goal growing up, to be that guy, and I think I can be that guy for sure. But in season, like I don't have too many goals. I just go out there and compete each outing. I go do my outing and I kind of forget about it. Like I'm just all in on my next one, just like ready to go kind of thing. So I don't put too much into all that.
How do you grade your outing after you're done? Like what are the things
I
that
just
you
kind
look
of,
for?
yeah. I kind of we kind of like review it as like a pitching staff, or like with the pitching coach and stuff like that. And we have the Mariners have this thing called like a shove score, kind of shows like how well you dominate the zone basically, and you get like a number. So there's that, but like just personally, I just see like how did I get ahead of hitters? That's a big one for me. Is did I attack hitters? Did I mess around and try to nibble on corners, or did I go right after guys? And if I gave up hard contact, then it's just good for them. Like they hit the ball. But if I was in the zone, that's a big one. I look at strikeouts because I mean I like punching guys. That's my favorite thing. I want to do that. But I mean, it's just all the thing. Did I give my team a chance to win? Like when I'm dominating the zone and I'm like fast pace and like keep my team in it, like that's all I'm looking for. I'm just trying to compete up there.
Do you think like pitch comm helps with keeping a fast pace?
Yeah, that was my first time ever using it, was in my start, and I liked it a lot. Honestly, with runners on second too, it makes everything way easier just because you don't have to go through a million signs if you want to shake off your catcher. Um, so I was all in for it. It sped me up a little bit, but that kind of sped up some of the hitters. Like I had some of the White Sox hitters. I don't think we're that happy with me because I was kind of you get your pitch before you even like on the rubber sometimes. Like the catcher will say like give you 4-seam fastball before you step on the rubber. So then you kind of like speed up everything. Like you come set faster, and I feel like some of the hitters weren't used to a pitcher throwing that fast. So I mean, I was all for it. It didn't impact me. I feel like it irritated the hitters a little bit, which could be an advantage for me. So I was all in. I quite like it.
I think watching a game to me, the pace seems a little bit more, a little bit
Yeah.
improved as just somebody watching it. It allows, you know, I hate the fact that they're talking about pitch clocks and all that stuff because I think half the time it's the hitters trying to, more than half the time it's the hitter's fault. But
Yeah.
this allows you to keep shoving and dictate the pace of the game as you want it. And to me, it's a huge advantage. Like I think it's great, and it's great for the fans. To me,
No, 100%. Like I had a lot of the infielders come up to me and they're like, "Dude, your pace is amazing. Like, I love playing behind you and stuff like that." And I think it's. I also work fast in general, even without the pitch com. But I mean, with it, I was like, I got my pitch, I was ready to go. Like before the hitter was even in the box, like I was ready to go. I mean, I think it was great. You don't have to worry about signs or sign steal. Like you don't have to worry about anything. Like you get your pitch, says it right in your ear, and you're just ready to go throw that pitch. Wow, I was a big fan of it.
you don't ever have infielders say, "Hey, you know, how about some weak contact or something? Let me get in the game a little bit." Strikeouts, you know, you don't have to strike everybody out.
No, I mean, I'm not. I'm trying to punch everybody, man. That's all I want to do.
I don't blame you. Like if I had your stuff, I'd be doing that too. And strikeouts are way more fun than balls in play. Like screw that.
Way
Yeah.
better. Way better.
Is there anything else you want to add? I think this has been great.
I think that was good. Yeah, I got to cover all the pitches and all that. It's been good.
Awesome, dude. Well, I
Yeah.
am a big fan. I love watching you pitch. It is, and I love it because when you're out there, it's something that most people haven't seen. Like most people do not see blitz ball type movement from a dude also that touches 100 miles an hour. It just doesn't
Yeah.
seem fair to hitters, and that's why I love it. Like keep blowing people away. It's so much fun to watch.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Cool, dude. Well, take care and thanks for coming on.